Hello and welcome to Kim Reads as we continue with Moby Dick. Chapter 20. The End. On the third day, we finally had another chance to capture the whale. Ahab insisted he could take charge of a boat despite his missing leg. He would not let anything slow him down. As the boat was about to be lowered, Ahab called to Starbuck. "Many men don't survive battles like this," he said. "Yes, sir," Starbuck said. "That's very true." "Starbuck," he said, "I am an old man. Shake hands with me, man." Starbuck took the captain's hand and gave it a squeeze. "Oh, my captain," he said, "please reconsider this. Stay here on board the Pequod with us." Ahab let go of his first mate's hand. He ordered that the boat should be lowered. Starbuck then noticed another danger. "Sharks," he called. "Come back, sir. There are sharks approaching." Ahab heard nothing. He was actually rowing and calling orders to the men. He was trying to get his boat close to that white whale. There was a cry from above. The man sitting in the masthead was shouting to Ahab. The whale was rising in the water beneath them. Ahab moved the boat, hoping that he would place them in the best positions to strike with harpoons. Moby Dick shot out of the water and crashed back into the sea. His body was covered with lances and harpoons, old and new. Ropes trailed after him. The wails from Moby Dick's crashing body rocked all the boats, but everyone stayed upright. Starbuck watched all the events unfold. "Oh, Captain," he said to himself, "if only you would give up this terrible mission. Why can't you realize the whale does not care about you? He is not chasing you. Only you are chasing him." Ahab continued on. The three harpooners, including Queequeg, took up positions in the mastheads. Other men took up posts near the railing. The captain was at long last able to get close to the whale. He shot his harpoon, and it landed solidly in the great creature's chest. The whale rolled over several times, trying to remove himself from Ahab's harpoon and rope. As he rolled over, he almost took Ahab and his boat with him. Ahab's men used their oars to quickly move the boat to a safer spot. They had to dart back and forth a few times until they were out of harm's way. The white whale swam off and waited for them. He rested only a short distance away. All the men on the Pequod could see what was going to happen next. The men in the mastheads tried to warn Ahab, but he could not see or hear nothing except the whale in front of him. The whale dashed forward again. He swam at a great speed. The captain made another great shot and pierced the beast with another harpoon. Ahab glanced to the Pequod. Starbuck was leaning over the rail. The first mate looked very concerned. Other crew members were preparing to drag the great white whale back to their ship. Everyone looked tired and drained of energy. Their bodies were moving, but their eyes seemed asleep. Even the great whale seemed to be slowing. Perhaps the 3-day chase was finally wearing him down. Only the surrounding sharks seemed energized. "I wonder," the captain said to himself, "I wonder if the sharks are waiting for the whale or for me." And then, without another thought, Ahab sank another spear into the whale. Moby Dick groaned and rolled on the side. As he turned, he swept against Ahab's boat and almost turned it over. The captain was able to grab hold of a beam and not fall into the water. 3 of his men were not so lucky. They were tossed overboard but managed to stay afloat. Ahab's boat was greatly destroyed. He had lost some of his men. Ropes and harpoons were scattered on the boat's floor. The Pequod was coming in closer to help. The rest of the crew intended to pick up the men who fell overboard and help Ahab back onto the ship. Moby Dick turned toward the ship. He raised his hand slightly above water as though he were noticing the ship for the first time. Perhaps he decided the Pequod was the cause of all his troubles. He paused for a moment and then charged towards her. Ahab and his men saw the whale take off toward their ship. They tried to do anything to prevent disaster. They rowed as fast as they could. They shouted to the men on board, but it was useless. The white whale rammed against the ship with all his might. The quake knocked everyone on board back to the desk. They picked themselves up right away and tried to make it to the rail. They need to be ready to cast a rope or harpoon if necessary. Moby Dick smashed against the ship again and knocked them all down once more. They got to the rail and readied their harpoons and lances. They waited, weapons poised, for the whale to reveal himself. He was under the ship, though. He ran his head against the bottom of the Pequod. All the men heard a great crack at the bottom of the ship came apart. Moby Dick had wrecked the Pequod. The ship was sinking. While Moby Dick smashed his head against the ship, Ahab took one more aim and shot. The harpoon pierced the whale's flesh, and Moby Dick let out a terrible moan. The whale rose up from the water, his head rising high above the sinking masthead. He crashed back into the water and went under. The rope attached to the last harpoon followed after the whale. Ahab did not seem to realize that the rope was tangled. It spun wildly out of the boat after the harpoon wrapped itself around Ahab's neck. Even before the captain could call it out, he was yanked from the boat and dragged down after the whale. At first, the crew remained in his boat stood still. Everyone was stunned. When they turned back and looked at the Pequod, they faced an even bigger surprise. Nothing was left of the ship except top part of her mast. They watched as she continued to tip, then sink under the waves forever. Then, in the swirling waters created by the sinking Pequod, Ahab's whaleboat, the last whaleboat, was pulled down. It followed the Pequod into doomed waters. You might be asking where I was in all this. I was with Ahab in his boat. I watched from a distance of a few feet as he was dragged down with the whale. I was the only survivor of the Pequod. Everyone else went down the ship or the last whaleboat. I am the only one left to tell this tale of Captain Ahab and Moby Dick. As the whaleboat was pulled under by the force of the sinking Pequod, several of us tried to swim away. I was the only one who made it to a safe distance. There was nothing left, and I had no more chances. I assumed that I would soon drown too, or that the sharks would soon find me. Then I saw a wooden box shoot out from under the water. It landed quickly and then floated toward me. It was Queequeg's coffin. I climbed inside and floated for 3 days. Eventually I was picked up. It was the crew of the Rachel that found me. They were still looking for their lost whaleboat and missing men. I thought it was peculiar that the Rachel was out looking for her lost children, but all they found was me. Yet another orphan. And that's the end of the book. Hope you liked it. See you later.